Hello, everyone. This is Deborah Richardson, and today I am putting the AP in Happy, where accounts payable teams are empowered to protect the vendor master file from fraud. This podcast will give a voice to accounts payable team members by talking about the growing reality of cyber attacks in their world and which vendor setup and vendor management techniques they can apply to protect the vendor master file from fraud. If you are looking for vendor process training for you or your entire vendor team, head over to my site at deborahrrichardson.com and click on the Vendor Team Training Solved button to learn more about what is included in the monthly or annual plan and also to download a 2021 training schedule. Get the training that you and your team needs to avoid payment fraud, duplicate vendors, compliance fines, and more. My podcast guest today is the founder of Happy AP in the UK, and she is returning to give us an update on Brexit. Now that 2020 is past, and I know a lot of us are glad for that, but so has January 1st, 2021, when the Brexit rules and regulations were set to be in place. So, what does that mean for accounts payable, and what lesson did she learn from 2020? Keep listening. Welcome to episode 118. Let's get happy about Brexit and accounts payable with Heather Peters, updated for 2021. And I mentioned before that Heather Peters was on a prior episode. She was actually on episode 70, and I believe that was the week of February 20th. And she talked about what she thought the changes would be for Brexit and how they may affect AP. And she is back this year to talk about what that ended up looking like for accounts payable. So I hope you enjoyed the interview. So today we have back Heather Peters of Happy AP. And if you don't know, Heather was actually with us last year in episode 70. We had an episode called Let's Get Happy About Brexit and Accounts Payable with Heather Peters. And so now that we are past January 1, 2021, we've got Heather back talking about what that looks like in the post-Brexit world. So Heather, welcome back. Tell us a bit about yourself for those that have not yet listened to episode 70.
Right. Well, hello to those that know me and hello to those that don't know me. For those that don't know me, I started Happy AP in January last year, just as COVID was starting to show itself. So rather than wanting AP services, companies were looking at furloughing staff. Talk about timing. And what a year 2020 has been. As we speak, the part of the UK I'm in is basically in full lockdown again. COVID has had a terrible effect on hospitality and retail industries. Hotels, restaurants and pubs are struggling to survive. Retail businesses have struggled, with some of our oldest, biggest names falling foul to the downturn in business. Debenhams being one of the most recent. My mum worked for them back in the 60s. So also Brexit, oh boy, what a roller coaster. We've had conversations going on for the last year, squabbles galore. You thought kids could fight, you haven't seen politicians. I know you have fun in America, but boy, you ought to see the Europeans have a fight.
We've had fun this year too, or 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of fun, lots of interesting fun.
Boris contracted COVID and ended up in hospital just as his son was due. So that proved a bit of an interesting time. But bless his cotton socks, he battled through. So whether you like him or hate him, he's done the deed. We got a deal with the Europeans, which is going to make some things interesting for people. There's been a big hoo-ha about what are we going to do about trading with Europe? Oh, there's going to be all sorts of trouble with getting goods to and from places. But actually, the ports, especially Dover, where they thought all the problems were going to be, actually, in the end, when it came to it, on the night of the 31st of December into January the 1st, it all went pretty smoothly. I think there was only about 3 people that didn't have the right paperwork. Otherwise, it all worked out. But we'll discuss that in a little bit. So there you go.
Yeah, and you know what? I missed it. Happy 1 year anniversary of Happy AP. Congrats on that.
Thank you. It's been interesting, to say the least. Keeping in touch with the accounts payable community, put it that way.
Yeah, and I didn't think about the fact that yeah, you opened that or started that business like right on the heels of COVID. And I know you talked a little bit about what effect COVID had on businesses and people in the UK. So you said lots of folks have been furloughed, and then have you seen companies fold over there? Any other examples?
Yeah, there's been quite a few companies that have folded. You've got, as I say, Debenhams, which has been going for over 100 years.
Yeah.
That's folded. Um, I, there's been a couple of the coffee chains have folded. Small businesses have folded. It's the lot of the little high street shops and places, a lot of nightclubs, especially the entertainment business generally, have struggled because obviously we're very much into the arts in this country. We like our theatres, the West End. The West End has been so quiet. It's the same with the music industry. You know what it's like for live music in the UK. We
Right.
love chucking out our independent music and all the rest of it. They've all so struggled. Um, I don't know whether you know Patsy Christian from Born Leisure, who deals with the holiday side of things like Haven holidays and all that side of things. Well, of course, people can't be going on holiday because of being restricted because of COVID. So all of that side has had a massive downturn. So
Yeah.
people have been furloughed and then subsequently they've been laid off. So the unemployment rate has gone through the roof recently. So I have a cat about to wobble across my keyboard yet again. Excuse me. The joys of working from home, which is a whole new ball game for everyone, which we've all had to adapt to as well, and the interruptions. So yeah, it's you only have to look at that. I don't know what it's been like in the States for you guys though, with companies going to the wall because of COVID. How's it
Yeah,
affected you guys?
yeah, it has. It's been the same. And I know you guys have high manufacturing. You rely
Yeah.
on tourism, leisure, and here in the U.S. And it's funny, we've had the same issues, especially in the restaurant industry. But I actually live in Oklahoma. And I know that you mentioned that Boris Johnson actually had COVID. So did our governor. I don't think he was hospitalized, but yeah, he's had that, and we're still really dealing with it like everyone else, dealing with it too. And now there's a new strain that originated, I guess, or they first saw it in the UK, and it's over here in the US now too. So I know that 2020 is gone. However, and I know 2021 is going to get better, but we still brought over all the COVID stuff from 12/31 2020 to 1/1 2021. So it's going to get better. It's just not like now, which is what I was hoping, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think everybody wants the instant fix because of
Yeah.
the vaccines, but
Yeah. But that is promising. So
it
it's
is. I'm
yep,
going
that is
to, wave my arms for the UK here because it was our guys that helped develop the vaccines. Woohoo for us
yeah.
guys. Um,
Well,
and I know
I'll be the
UK are
first.
getting collared about it's your lot that have done the new strain, but actually it was just our scientists that happened to discover the new strain or
Yeah.
the variants on it. That was all. we weren't necessarily responsible folks.
Well, I can't wait until I'm eligible to have the vaccine, because I am going to be the first person in that long line. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the call up. My mother-in-law has had her vaccine because they're
Oh,
doing it for
great.
the vulnerable, and they've done the vulnerables and the over 80s. So my mother-in-law's had her vaccine. No, she's fine, absolutely
Perfect.
fine. So she's
All right.
okay. So I'm not sure how long it'll take to get mine, but I will just wait in line accordingly and have my vaccine. I'm more than happy to take it. I know some people think that, oh, it's got a microchip in there, we're going to get tracked and all the rest of it. Well, if they want to track me, they're not going to find anything exciting than what I do. So there you go.
I know, especially 2020 is like boring, but
Yeah,
like you,
exactly.
I will be the first in line when I'm eligible too. So that's great. Let's get into Brexit. So,
Yeah.
definition for those that have been buried in just surviving, COVID and its effects, working from home, that type of thing. So, it's short for British exit, and it is the withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the European Union. So, the UK left the EU effective January 31st, 2020, and the
Yeah.
expectation was for the new rules to go in effect January 1st, 2021, which has happened. Heather, I did see like the latest headlines from the BBC this past week. There was an article entitled New Era for UK as it completes separation from EU. And then I also saw an article with a picture of Boris Johnson about UK and its cake and eating it too. So having its cake and eating it too. So what's new since last year, and any changes to the original plans due to the pandemic, since the UK was among many countries hit hardest by it?
Right. I've picked out some of the stuff that we discussed last time.
Yeah.
And done an update basically. So if we have a look at things like exports and imports, we talked about Intrastat. Doesn't apply anymore. Don't need to do an Intrastat anymore. Now we have left the EU. Okay, so that's fine, because what we've actually signed, and it is on that wonderful website that you have got there, instituteforgovernment.org.uk. There is actually a link, so you can go and read our wonderful UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement.
Okay.
And you can read all 1,200 odd pages of it if you really want to. So I've picked out the juicy bits.
If anybody's interested, I'll put that in the show notes, but can you just kind of break that down for us here?
Yeah, but the interesting bits are, right, so there's no more Intrastat. Don't have to worry about that. Passports. We were talking about travel. Right. If you have 6 months left on your UK passport and it's less than 10 years old, you need to check it. You may or may not be able to travel. So you need to check your passport because you may have to renew it. It just depends on the age of your passport, okay? And also you will need to check each country's entry requirements if you want to work, study or spend more than 90 days in any 180-day period in their country, all right? But otherwise you can travel. So if you want to go on holiday for 3 months, you don't need an entry visa or anything. But if you want to go for longer than that, then you've got to look at the rules and regulations, okay? Now, we used to have a thing where if I went to Spain, I'd be covered by just, okay, you take out a health insurance thing, travel insurance. Now, you need to have a European health insurance card, which is a bit more, how can I put it? A bit more robust, if you like, than basic travel insurance, because obviously we don't necessarily have the agreement with like the NHS, and they all treat us for free over there if we treat their guys for free over here, sort of thing, because we're now outside of the EU. Pet passports no longer apply. unless you're in Northern Ireland. If you have a Northern Ireland issued pet passport, you can still travel to the EU, because Northern Ireland is a bit of a weird one, as you know, because it's got a border with Ayr or Southern Ireland, and they are part of the EU, so they've had all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Now then, this is going to be really interesting for qualifications. You know our qualifications like accountancy qualifications, etc., and all the rest of it? Right. There is, and I quote this is what I am quoting, existing mutual recognition of professional qualifications will end. This means UK professionals will have to comply with professional qualification requirements in each EU member state they want to work in, making it harder and more expensive to provide services in the EU. So, this will have major implications given that the UK has a big surplus in service exports. So, if you're qualified as an accountant in this country, doesn't mean to say you can automatically just go and work in Germany with your accountancy qualification.
You now have to qualify in that country.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
The agreement has been set up. This agreement sets up a mechanism for qualifications to be recognised in future, but there is no guarantee that any such arrangements will be agreed. Even if they are likely to be less comprehensive than those that existed under EU membership. They may strike bilateral agreements in mutual recognition of professional qualifications. The withdrawal agreement protects mutual recognition of professional qualifications for UK citizens living in the EU or EU citizens in the UK before the end of the transition period. So if you're an accountant, UK accountant that's already living in Germany, you're okay, and vice versa. But yeah, you're going to have to be careful of that one. I'm still trying to find out though whether the euros are going to be accepted in the UK anymore. Can't find that one out yet.
So that's kind of still up in the air as far as what's going to shake out for like educational and different certifications for careers or requirements for.
Which I think is really important for people to be aware of. Whether it's AP, accountants, whoever, anybody with any formal qualifications need to be aware of that going forward.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of scary though that they don't have that worked out yet. So more to come on that, but they can still go to the, again, I'll have the link in the description to the instituteforgovernment.org.uk to find out more.
So and with driving abroad, you now need to have some extra documentation. So our driving licenses will no longer suffice. We need to have an international driving permit, which is basically what we have to drive in America anyway. We have to go and get a special bit of paper. So it's, if you like, it's going to be to a degree no different for us to travel to Europe as it would be to travel to the States. So the things that we do to travel to the States, and the compliances that we have to abide by, is going to be effectively what we have to do to travel in Europe, because there's stuff to be ironed out. But the basic agreements there was a big squabble over the fishing rights, which Macron was being a pest about. And basically what's going to happen is over the next 5 years, the UK is going to get they get 25% more back of their fishing quota than they had when we were in the EU, and with immediate effect, or within this year, 2021, 15% comes back, and then it's 2.5% over the next 4 years, and then after that, then it's negotiable year on year how much comes back after that. Also, with immediate effect, they have stopped a practice called zap fishing or zap trawling in UK waters. And basically, that's a thing where they send an electrical impulse on the seabed to catch flatfish. So that's like your sole and things like that, because the UK don't agree with it, and a lot of the foreign trawlers tend to use that, but we feel it's harmful to the marine wildlife. So that has been banned in UK waters. So anybody who comes into UK waters and tries doing that, they will get told to go away.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a wildlife fanatic, so I thought that was quite a good one.
That's okay. It's good to know. So, what about bank payments? So, what about SEPA payments, wire transfers?
I don't believe any of that will change, because as long as you have a Euro bank account, you should be okay. So it's just going to be exchange rates is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Though I do believe the pound has got stronger against the euros since everything's happened. But you know, with everything,
Yeah.
COVID, whether Boris has had a haircut or not, whether Macron's woken up on the right side of the bed or not, as to what the exchange rate's going to be that day. So
Okay, well, that's good. So, and I know last time we did talk about that again in episode 70 about
yeah,
how, as long as they have Euro bank accounts set up in the
yeah,
individual countries,
yeah,
then they should still be okay. And now, according to CNN Money, the
yeah,
UK is the fourth largest trading partner with the US. With a new president coming into office, right, on January 20th, it will be interesting to see what effect that will have on like trade deals, since the Democrats were against the UK leaving the European Union, and our new president coming in is a Democrat.
yeah, that is going to be interesting to see. I can only hope that that particular difference could be put aside, and it's a case of the situation is as it is. The British people made the decision that they wanted to leave the EU, so that's what we've done, and this is where we are. It wasn't down to the politicians, it was down to the people, and the people voted. Just like the people voted Trump out, Joe Biden in. It could have gone the other way.
It could have. Yep.
So,
Okay.
but I will say one thing for Joe Biden. He's got German Shepherds, so he can't be all bad.
Yeah. Do you have German Shepherds as well?
Yes, I have German Shepherds.
I've seen some pictures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have German Shepherds, so he can't be all bad.
Okay, so the political front should be fine. I do want to go back really quick because you talked about Intrastat and
Yeah.
how that is gone. Can you
Yeah.
just do a brief explanation of what Intrastat was and then what replaced it?
Yeah. Intrastat was basically, it was to do with the VAT, and it was to do with looking at what imports and exports were going through each EU country between them. So what France was exporting to us, what we were exporting to France, and etc. Now, from what I can understand, they have decided, and it seems to be a little bit unclear, but they've agreed that they're not going to implement tariffs on each other.
Oh, okay.
For the foreseeable, for the time being. So you're going to have a different document to do the importing and exporting, but you need a COVID clear test as well to do all of that at the moment. And I believe in Kent, they're calling them Kermits because they're called. You have to have you have to be clear of COVID, and you have to have all the right permits. And as Kent is where Dover is, that's what they keep calling these permits now. They're called Kermits. But there you go. So they are saying though that they're not going to have tariffs for import and export. So there's a zero because there's so much that goes backwards and forwards. And we're so reliant on each other, it would just be a complete mess to try and work it all out. So for the moment, no charge.
Okay, well, that's good news.
Yeah.
However, where the those outside of the EU, had to use that EOI number for
Yeah,
intrastat.
that's what we've got. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah,
basically.
now the UK has to utilize that EOI number, but it's going to be no additional tariffs, at least not for the moment.
No,
no
not for the moment.
paperwork.
No, not per se. From what I can gather, companies, the bigger companies that have been doing freighting backwards and forwards for ages, were quite on board with this. So people like Tesco's or Asda and those supermarkets have been on the ball from the beginning, so they were okay about it, and they've basically had everything in place. The smaller companies, it was a case of we'll wait and see. But obviously with lockdown, a lot of the smaller companies aren't necessarily trading at the moment anyway. So I think what's happening is with some of the smaller companies, those that can, while they're in furlough, lockdown, whatever you want to call it, are looking at getting some of that paperwork sorted for when they are active again. And as I say, some of them unfortunately have gone to the wall and won't be active. So, and I do know that especially some people that are one-man bands, if you like, that are lone traders, it's been a case of, well, do I pay my tax bill? Because obviously it's tax month this month in this country. This is when people have to do their self-assessment and pay their tax bills. It's a case of, well, do I pay my tax bill or do I feed my family? So I know there's been those cases as well. So we'll see what happens with that. So I believe HMRC will be busy with self-assessments this month.
Yeah, so some of the changes, including exports, imports, the EOI number with intrastat, travel, healthcare, the SEPA payments, wire transfers, those types of changes as a result of Brexit that's now effective, January 1. You mentioned, some of the larger companies were preparing, but overall, do you think companies really were prepared as, January 1, 2021 came and went?
I would say large companies, yes. Small to medium companies, probably not. But we've had such a weird 2020.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to gauge what has been going on out there because a lot of people have been saying the first lockdown was bad.
Yeah.
And now it looks like we're going to go into a second full country lockdown again. They've done all this tiering. So part of the country, because of this new variation of COVID, started in the east of the country, and then it was the south, and it was the southeast of the country. That went into a higher lockdown. Then that migrated across. So if you like, where I live, we were in the second area that went into a tier 4, as they call it. And now, when I spoke to people in Birmingham, which is over the other side of the country, they went into tier 4 literally just before Christmas or just after Christmas. So there's talk, and we'll probably find out today, tomorrow, who else is going into tier 4, or they're just going to shut the whole country down again. They've got to get the vaccination out.
Yeah.
And it takes about 3 weeks for that to be effective before they're going to. So you're going to have it's got to catch up with itself before you're going to start to see a difference and the numbers start to drop. But I don't know whether you guys have seen recently on the news what the infection rate in the UK was. I mean, it's sitting at, I think yesterday it was at about 55,000 or 57,000 new cases in a 24-hour period.
Yeah. And, again, no one could have predicted 2020. Was there any, as the infection rates increased, and I know the UK was hit hard, was there any talk about maybe postponing the January 1, 2021 requirements, or was it just, again, up to the individual companies, large, small, and medium sized businesses to start getting prepared, which we know, as you just said, that a lot of small and medium sized businesses are really not prepared. Was there any talk at all about maybe postponing the requirements or the changes because of COVID?
People wanted it postponed, but the government said no, because we made the vote to leave was in 2016, and there is a timescale that you have to adhere to. To once you say you're going to leave, then you have to submit paperwork to say, right, we're going to do this, and then there is a timescale that has to be followed. So the idea was that an agreement had to be put in place, and you can't keep going back to the EU asking for an extension, etc., to the time, because you start to impose penalties. And that means more money going out of the UK, if you like, bank account to the EU for services that we're not going to be getting because we're leaving. So it was a case of no, we're going whatever, whether we've got an agreement or not, we are leaving. So it's better to have the agreement.
All right, so that couldn't be postponed. Okay, so bringing this back around to our favorite subject, AP. Last time we talked about, what you would tell those not in AP, how AP can be happy. And so I think it's especially needed now. Again, UK is going back on another lockdown. Rates are increasing in the US again. So I think it's especially needed now that many are still working from home and still months away from returning to quote unquote normal, whatever that'll look like. But let's talk in context of something that we are all going through, which is those video meetings. Those are like never going to go away, I don't think. So what are some video protocols so that our listeners and their meeting attendees can stay happy?
You have to treat your video meetings like you were in the office talking to somebody. So you don't sit there as a female with everything on display from the chest upwards or from the waist upwards. Not a good idea. Okay, it might get the boys a bit excited, but it's not advisable. And boys, gents, please don't slouch in your chair. And if we can see the arm moving and, and the scratching going on, thank you very much. We don't appreciate it. And watch what's going on in the background. We've all seen it. And there was a classic, I saw it the other week, of a bloke who was on a Zoom call, decided he had an itchy ear, took his glasses off, cleaned his ear out with the arm of his glasses, sniffed it, and then licked the arm of his glasses. And it went viral. So if anybody's seen it, you'll know what I'm on about. It's just like, don't forget, people can see you. You wouldn't do it in an open office, so don't do it on a video call.
I like that.
Okay, we appreciate. We do understand you might occasionally get a cat bum walk past. We get that. We understand that. Or you might hear a scream of a kid in the background or a dog barking in the background. But otherwise, think of yourself as being in an office and present yourself as such. So yes, ladies, put on a bit of makeup, make your face look a bit better, even if it's only a bit of mascara. Don't turn up with your hair in a towel and your dressing gown on. Not a good look.
Yeah, especially with some of those video conferencing platforms, you have to turn off the default of having your video on, when the meeting starts. So if
Yes.
you haven't turned that default off, make sure that you treat yourself like you are in the office at a meeting. And for one, I am all for videos. All of my meetings now, I do a video meeting. I turn it on, and one of my resolutions this year is I'm going to get out of my athleisure clothes and I am actually going to put on some real clothes. No high heels, flat or whatever. I am actually going to wear some real clothes this year. I don't care if I'm still at home. I'm wearing some real clothes.
Yeah, what was it? Somebody said sometimes you have to get up and go to work, even if you're only going to work in the office, which happens to be another bedroom in the house. But
Right.
put your work clothes on because it gives you a feeling of responsibility and etc. rather than sitting there in your, as you say, in your sort of leisure gear going, yeah, okay. But yeah, I totally get it. I must admit, it's occasionally I've gone, yeah, I can't be asked. I can't be bothered to put makeup on, like clip my hair back. But if you ever see me on a call and I've got a baseball cap on, you know I'm having a bad hair day. Okay.
Yeah, but we're going to, I really like that analogy of, treat your remote work calls or video calls as if you're meeting in the office. When you put it in that perspective, then yes, you will get up, get dressed, change your mindset, make sure your surroundings are applicable for work surroundings. And they have a lot of backgrounds out there now too. So
Yeah.
virtual backgrounds, so those can work as well. And that's exactly what I'm working on for 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will all get through this. It's, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I believe there's possibly another vaccine. This is the one thing, there was something on the news, or it was on the program last night I was watching.
Yeah.
And it said it is so nice to have the scientists in the medical community working together to find and sort out vaccines rather than trying to compete against each other to make vaccines. It's not a case, it's like you've got the Pfizer vaccine and you've got the other vaccine that's come out. They both are they're slightly different. One has to be at 1 degree, kept at a certain temperature to the other.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't care about that. They are just pleased for each other that both teams have developed a vaccine that is going to hopefully make a difference to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's us in the UK, people in Italy, people in the States, people wherever. And they are producing this and trying to get it rolled out as quickly as possible. It's not a competition this time. It is a goal to help everyone. And I think that's one thing that COVID has taught us, that actually the human race, yeah, we are a bunch of muppets most of the time because we seem to be hell-bent on destroying this planet. But when the going gets really tough, we can pull together.
Yes, and I think that is an excellent way to close out this podcast episode, because I think those folks in AP who for the first time went home as a collective team, I think the AP teams did the exact same thing. They came together and they got it done.
We did. We definitely did.
All right. So, why don't you tell the audience, where they can connect with you or engage with you?
Right. Well, at the moment, the happyap.co.uk website is going to be undergoing a revamp shortly. So you can go on there, but it's a bit out of date. I thought I'd better update it after a year, what with COVID and everything else and Brexit and all that jazz. But if you do want to contact me, you can contact me at heather@happyap.co.uk. accountspayable.co.uk. I'm also on Twitter, which Deborah will obviously publish and let you know what the address is, because I can never remember.
Yeah, I'll put that in the
all,
email address in the description.
if you don't mind, please. Also, I am a member of the Accounts Payable Association, so you can always find me in there as well. And as I say, if you do need to contact me and you can't find me, if you'd like to speak to Deborah, I'm sure she'll put you in contact with me. Okay?
Yeah, great. And yes, I will put all of your contact information in the show notes, and I will include a link, which I don't think I did last year. I'll include a link, or maybe we didn't have pages last year from the AP Association. I'll put a link to your top 100 influencer, AP influencer profile. So yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
All right, so I will include that. All right, thanks, Heather, and
thank you, my darling.
Happy 2021.
And a happy 2021 to you, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.
So thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed the 118th episode of the Putting the AP in Happy podcast, where accounts payable teams are empowered to protect the vendor master file from fraud. Don't forget to check the show notes for the links mentioned in the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing and writing a review of my podcast on the platform that you use to listen. Stay happy.